What's up, everybody? If you that don't know me, my name is Chris, aka Mr. Grow It, and welcome back to my talk channel. A few months ago, I released a video with THC Titan. It was actually a podcast episode from a podcast that no longer exists. I mentioned in that video that I had 3 more episodes. This is actually one of them. In this video, both myself and Chris from Happy Hydro sit down with BabyJ from the Grow 420 Diaries. For those of you who don't know BabyJ, she has been uploading grow videos to YouTube for over 5 years now, and her channel has almost 7,000 subscribers. We sit down, we talk to her, we find out a little bit more about how she got into growing, and then we talk into detail about her grow setup and her grow style. Since this was a podcast episode, there's actually no video, it is audio only. So I apologize for not having any visuals for you, but this podcast definitely has some good information in it, so I wanted to repost. And I know for the last podcast episode that also didn't have visuals, some had mentioned that it was good to listen to in the garden. Anyways, I will stop rambling now, and let's just get into the episode.
Hey everybody, this is the Happy Hour podcast, and we're here with BabyJ. BabyJ, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Mr. Grow It?
Doing awesome. Doing really good.
Awesome. We're excited to be here with you guys today. We're going to interview BabyJ on her Grow and her YouTube channel.
I'll kick off the questions. So BabyJ, I've been watching your channel for quite some time. I don't know, I think since 2015 or something like that. You got a ton of videos. It's clear that you're very, very passionate. Tell us, how did it all start? How did you get into growing?
On my 21st birthday, my friend, he decided to give me a plant as for a present instead of, a normal present. So he was just telling me, he was like, well, just go ahead and check out YouTube, and it'll teach you everything you need to know about growing this plant. So I didn't know anything about the YouTube world. I didn't even know anybody was putting videos out about growing. This was back in the day when Mr. Tide and Envy Closet first started his channel, and it was crazy how much YouTube has progressed since then. But I got on YouTube and I started watching all the videos about people growing. There was so many different ways, so many different techniques out there to teach you how to grow. So I spent hours and hours and hours every day watching YouTube, you guys. Like literally, I watched YouTube more than I watched my own television. So literally watch it for about a few months before I actually got comfortable with actually posting videos, because I was watching it and I still had the plant growing, but I wasn't really too comfortable posting because I really didn't want people to, I don't know, I didn't really want to look like I didn't really know what I was talking about before I started making videos. Like, yeah, you have that fear of, I don't want to look stupid on camera or whatever the case may be. So it took me a little while actually to post content on my channel, but I was actually growing, a few months prior to that. My first grow actually didn't really turn out too well, as you may know. Yeah, that's pretty much how I got started, literally.
Where'd you go for inspiration? Like, who are like a YouTube channel, or like what's a YouTube grow or something that you can remember that like really inspired you or helped you when you were doing your first grow or when you got started?
Grow 420 Guide, you guys. Grow 420 Guide was the guy, because he was pretty much doing the same setup that I had. Like, he was the only grower that I seen. Because I started off with CFLs, so I was looking
in like a closet or something.
Yeah, it was actually a little closet box, because the little plastic totes. I don't know if you guys watch Love Vibes. I don't know, Mr. Grow It, if you checked out Love Vibes channel. But he, in the beginning, he started off with these little grow boxes. You buy the little plastic totes, and you make a little mini grow box, and with CFLs, and like I said, back in the day, I was started with CFL, so I watched a lot of videos that were pertaining towards CFL. So Grow 420 Guide had an awesome CFL grow on his channel that I was watching all the time. And then Love Vibes, I got the little grow box idea from Love Vibes, and I made a few little grow boxes, to start off with, or whatever the case may be. But I would say early inspirations, Grow 420 Guide was really the main one, because he was actually growing in the same type of setup that I, kind of sort of had.
Is he still active?
I haven't seen videos from him in quite a while, but even still now, he has a wealth of information on his channel. So you can go back, videos and videos back, and you're still gonna find just a wealth of content.
Do you want to ask her a couple more questions about her first grow?
Yeah. Let's get into the first grow. Let's get into the nitty gritty of the first grow. You said it was bad. I want to hear about that.
It was okay, because you guys don't laugh. This is pretty much newbie mistakes. But when I first started growing, like I said, I got the plant from my friend. and he told me to, you look on YouTube and blah, 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 blah. Now, I didn't know that, you would need nutrients for the plants. So, I was under the impression that you just get dirt, you feed it water, and, like any noob would, think, you get
Right.
water, dirt, and it should grow. I got some Miracle Grow soil, and everything was going
There
good.
you
The plant was,
go.
the plant was going, it was growing. Miracle Grow has, a little bit of substance in it now that I know really more about it. So it kept the plant going for a little bit. But when the plant actually needed nutrients and started actually showing deficiencies, I started to panic. So of course, second nature. Oh, let me go on YouTube and figure out what the problem is, or let me go see what the problem is. And I found out that I needed to supplement with nutrients. So I ordered my first nutrient supplement, which was a General Hydroponics Floor Series. On the back of the bottle, it says, mix per gallon ratio. Now, I'm so impatient because as a new grower, if you're really into growing cannabis, you're literally I'm in there all the time looking at the plants. They're not even doing anything, and I'm just staring at them, hoping that I can see a difference in them. So, I got my General Hydroponics, and it said on the back of the bottle, mix per gallon. But I was so impatient thinking that if I feed them, I had a little water bottle, just a little 8-ounce water bottle. And I swear I mixed up a gallon's worth of nutrients in that little 8-ounce bottle of nutrients and fed it to my plant, and must have fried the whole crap out of
Oh.
my plants, y'all. Like, yeah. Oh,
So that
yeah.
was it? That was the end of that story?
I mean, yeah, because after that, I think I actually pushed it to go male, honestly, because it started throwing ball sacks like crazy. It could have just been a male, but, you know, I fried it seriously bad, and it turned out to be a male, so I had to get rid of him. So I was kind of down about that too. So.
Well, I'm sure I haven't seen your YouTube channel, but I'm sure you figured it out since then if you have a YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm telling you, though, and those mistakes. It's so funny because a lot of new growers, they make that type of mistake all the time. It's you think that if you feed it more, you're gonna get more results, and that's never ever the case. That's why I always
Right.
preach less is really more, and a lot of growers can tell you that themselves.
Let's get into the current grow. So your setup has expanded quite a bit. I know you have like a multiple tent setup now and stuff like that. So tell us about your current grow setup that you have going.
All right, so right now in the main flower room, I have a Spectrum King and two March Hydro 600 watts.
Are
And
those
not,
all LED lights or?
yeah, those are all LED. Right now, currently, I'm using majority all LED. I haven't experimented with any, HIDs or anything like that yet. Honestly, a lot of heating issues. I'm still trying to dial my temperature and everything in. Because even with the LEDs, I'm still experiencing, the spike in temperature. But yeah, I have all LEDs. I have in the veg room, I have my T5. It's a 240-watt T5, as well as I'm still using some supplemental CFL lighting as well for veg. And then I have, that's all in the tent though. I have the CFLs in the tent, and then a Mars Hydro 300 in the tent as well. And then I have a breeding tent that's actually using the MyGrow LEDs. I don't know if you guys heard about MyGrow LED, but a nice little 100-watt unit, perfect for breeding, perfect for a small little 2x4 grow, especially because I have two of them. And
And you're making your own strains then?
yeah, well, I'm experimenting with a little breeding, nothing too serious, because I don't know how to say it, because you know how like people get so uptight about being pollen chucking and whatever the case may be. I'm
No,
not, I'm
fill me
not.
in a little bit. What's pollen chucking?
Apparently, it's just when you just throw whatever you can together. It's not
Okay,
really called true breeding, I guess.
gotcha. It's like a smorgasbord of pollen. It's not like a true just one-to-one.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's a lot of controversy behind that. Like a lot of breeders can tell you. So.
gotcha. And so like when you said you're having heat problems, when you like walk into your room, do you have all of these tents in one like bedroom, or do you have an air conditioner in there? Or are they spread out throughout, or?
Yeah, so the way my room is set up, it's actually pretty. You probably wouldn't even think it would be like this, but where I have the main flower room. It's a huge. I'm talking about huge walk-in closet. Like pretty much a whole nother room in itself. Then that's the main flower room. Then you come out from the
So
main flower.
can you get air conditioning in there or anything, or like how
Oh
do you
yeah,
get?
I have air conditioning in my main room, which is actually
Gotcha,
it's like in the dead center, so it's kind of like the epicenter of my whole setup. So I have
gotcha.
AC. in the main room, which actually, supplies the basement where the bedroom is, as well as the main flower room. But the only problem I'm having is because I think I need to get a higher BTU AC, because it's not really, it has that little. It's like a 5,000 BTU, but it has to cover, the basement as well as the flower room. So it's kind of, it's not enough, is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
So
No, 5,000. I mean, they get like a normal window unit is usually like 10,000 BTU, right? Does anyone know?
yeah, and I have a smaller unit, and I've been meaning to upgrade the AC unit. I was actually thinking about going 10,000 BTUs and up, because this one
Is
is
it a
not
window
enough.
unit or?
Yeah, it's a window unit.
Got you. Because I know some people use the standing air conditioners, and I don't know. I've heard mixed reviews about them. Like I know there's two different versions. One version actually releases smelly air through the exhaust, and then there's another version that actually pulls air from the outside and then uses that and then sends that same air out, so it like doesn't
Yeah,
release smelly air.
of course. Those ones, I would be able to get one of those, but pocketed funds and everything like that. Those are like
Oh,
super
Yeah,
expensive.
those are more expensive.
and I don't know if they're even better. I was just saying I've just heard of them. I don't know if they're better at all. I know window units are pretty reliable and
Yeah, they're
usually
pretty
get the
reliable.
job
And,
done.
and the thing about it is too, because I have central, air conditioner in the house. So I have
Oh,
it's like I have that going as well as the window unit, just to try to combat, to kind of even it out. Because right now, since it's so hot right now, and I'm in California, my flower room is getting, with all the LEDs on and everything, 82, 80 to 86. That's like the
oh
highest. And
wow.
that's kind of a little
Pushing
high
it.
for me,
Yeah.
I'm used to floating in like the 79-ish range, and that's in winter, so it's kind of, it's touching it for me.
Even though for LEDs though, because I mean most manufacturers recommend you run higher temperatures. Like Spectrum King, for
Really?
example. Yeah, Spectrum King, Brandon over there, he recommended me to run up to 87 degrees, which I thought was kind of crazy. But
Yeah.
What's the point of that?
he had mentioned that in some places weed grows naturally at this temperature and high humidity, so it can survive, and it's actually more happier and
Well,
VPT
like
I know I
charts,
what?
and
know
he
the
just
higher
points.
humidity. I know the higher humidity kind of helps it out, like in the 60 percentile range, kind of helps out with the flowers. I don't know. And my thing is with the heat problem, I'm kind of paranoid about, powdery mildew and everything, because I've had a bad experience with powdery mildew before. And that's with me picking up clones from the dispensary. That's why, man, you got to be safe with where you're getting clones. You got to make sure and on top of that, quarantining, because I brought the clone home, and it just was, I didn't know it was infested with powdery mildew until it hit flour. That's what pissed me off so much about it.
Tell me about the quarantine situation a little bit more. Like, get the clones, bring them in, put them in a little tent by themselves,
Yeah,
and
put
treat
them
them.
somewhere away from your main stuff you got going on, at least for a few weeks, because I
Right.
mean, whatever that clone brings in, you're going to infest your garden with. You got to kind of think about that. So I would say quarantine it away from your other plants, and just like make sure you keep up on, like, your IPMs, and making sure the maintenance is on point.
Now, what if it's in a clone dome, one of those small clone domes in like the corner of your tent, for example? Is that segregated enough, or would you recommend more than that?
Man, me, I like, I'm air of caution. As being a grower,
Better
you go
safe
through
than
a
sorry.
lot of, yeah, you go through a lot of problems. I just wouldn't want, you get a clone, and the next thing you know, it's infested with mites or something, and then your whole freaking garden has mites now,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you know.
For sure, it's like CO2 tanks. If you're using CO2 tanks and you're exchanging them at the grow store, I mean they're just mites, powdery mildew, anything that was in the garden that CO2 tank was in before
Uh-huh.
is gonna be on that tank. Now, grow stores are infested with bugs and mildew and stuff. So I worked at one for 3 years. I'm well aware. Um, I used to tell people before you put that CO2 tank in your grow room, you better bleach it or, if ideally keep it outside of the room. Do you use CO2?
No, I do not use CO2 right now. Because my whole theory is that, the AC is actually bringing in a lot of CO2, and since I'm actually in the room, I'm breathing.
Breathe
So,
in, yeah.
and all that good stuff. So I mean, it's probably not enough CO2, but I'm pretty comfortable with, not actually having to supplement with it. Maybe, and maybe it might help the grow if I do. You never know. But right now I'm not really too big on me getting CO2.
Well, I was just gonna say basement growing. Like if you're if you're growing in the basement, I mean, CO2 is heavier than air. Naturally, if there's a bunch of people living in the house, CO2 is probably levels are probably going to be higher down there, I would assume, from its sinking.
Yeah, I have a gang of people, that stay in the house. I live in a pretty big house, so I'm very confident about the CO2. I don't feel like I have to get external CO2 right now. Although I think it may benefit the grow a little bit because CO2 is really beneficial. But
So I'm going to just go through what we have here. Flower room, LED lights, veg tent, CFLs, T5s. I want to say you said there's LED in there too.
yeah, there's one Mars Hydro 300-watt unit that's still in the tent just to give it that that mixed spectrum kind of sort of. But
Yeah.
everything is right now still in veg because I just harvested. I'm still getting flowers trimmed up and everything like that. But right now I still just have plants in veg. The flower room is kind of out of commission for right now. You go through your harvest period and you got to reset. It's a whole process.
Clean the room for sure. So are you growing hydro, soil, cocoa? Bring me into that department. Tell me a little bit about that.
Growing in Pro Mix HP, so I guess it is a soil medium. If you,
Right,
I mean,
it doesn't have any food in it though, so you have to feed it all the nutrients.
I have to supplement all the time, yes, and that's one of the things I like about the Pro Mix brand is just I like the controllability you have, and you get to control it yourself. You don't have to worry. Like I said, Miracle Grow has shit in it, so
right.
Really, let's say you got the Miracle Grow soil, you can't really just go and dump nutrients in it right now because you're gonna burn your plants. It already has stuff in it.
For sure, and I want to say ProMix has beneficial bacteria in it. Mycorrhizae. Do you know? Does it?
Yes, sir. I'm using the one with the mycorrhizae in it as well. It's really beneficial for the roots.
And so, do you like? Are you using plastic pots or fabric pots?
I'm using plastic right now. I have a couple fabric pots outside. I have a little outdoor project that I'm doing that's in fabric pots, but indoors I use mostly plastic.
And so you're not mixing anything with the ProMix, just using that. Do you put like clay pebbles in the bottom of the pot or anything?
No, I was actually thinking about that to kind of help as far as like with
drainage and stuff.
Yeah, drainage and everything like that because I was thinking more so like because I'm going to try to scrog this next round and flushing is my main that's been my main thing about the scrog, but I killed it last round with the scrog. Everything went well, but I was thinking that if I was to layer the bottoms of the pots with at least some clay pebbles or something, it would kind of help get all the excess salts
for sure
out. You get what I'm saying, to kind of not have the plant just sitting in it, because like I said with the scrog you kind of can't move it around. You can't really take it out.
You just told me you're still killing it without the clay pebbles though.
Yeah, but I'm really anal about the flushing thing. I really want to make sure that
for sure. I just wanted the listeners to know and hear that, like, even if you forget to put your clay pebbles in, as long as you are careful and do all your YouTube homework, you can still come out with a good grow.
Most definitely. A lot of people think that you have to have a lot of expensive equipment. Literally, I didn't start my channel off with expensive equipment at all. Of course, I got YouTube. I got LEDs, later on, but I didn't just start. I didn't start off with expensive equipment to start my grow or my channel. You can grow without all of that.
For sure. And so, do you put your plants just like on the ground in saucers, or do you have like a big tray or something?
In saucers. I have them all in saucers. I was thinking I wanted to actually get an actual big tray for there, so I don't have to actually carry around all them saucers and everything just kind of coagulate in the same place.
And so, can you tell me like what size pots you use, how many plants, and like what do your roots look like when you pull them out at the end? Is it like filling up your whole pot?
Yeah, and that's a problem that I've been noticing as well. I'm using 5-gallon tall pots for my main flower room. For veg, everything is in a 2-gallon right now, except the little babies.
When do you transplant?
I like to see. I'm a little unorthodox with the transplanting. I keep my plants in these small containers for a little bit longer than I should. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. When it's one person taking care of like 20 plants or something.
Yeah.
And then I'm working and everything like that. Yeah, it's a lot of work. So I kind of drag on the transplant a little bit, man. It's
Are you hand watering then, or?
Right, yeah. Right now I'm hand watering. I have a little watering wand that I put into a little bucket, and I'm just
Awesome. And one more question before I let Mr. Grow it take over again. What type of nutrients are you using now?
I was last round using the Rainbow. I've been every round I've been switching nutrients, and I know that's not really Not really a good idea for a lot of new growers. I don't want to tell anybody to do that, but I'm still trying to
Right.
find my niche. I'm still trying to find what I can dial in and what I can use that's going to be, convenient, more easier for me. As far as because I have people send me nutrients all the time, but I really just want to find a simpler way to supplement my plants and not have to use so many bottles.
Do you PA? Well, Remo. Before I ask this question, how many bottles does Remo have? I don't really know much about them, but
Rainbow
I want to
has
say, go
7.
ahead.
I think it's about 7
Holy
bottles.
shit!
But no,
So
but
it's like advanced.
but you don't use all 7 though. Use about 4 in veg, and then you use about 5 in flower.
Gotcha. And do you have to adjust your pH and do you have a ppm meter?
Yes, sir. Very, very
What,
important things that every grower should have.
what kind of
Sure.
meters do you use?
I'm using what is the name of my pH pen?
Is it like
let
an
me go get
expensive one or is it just
yeah,
like
it was about $80. But the thing about it is,
gotcha?
I had the cheap Chinese ones, and they work good. But I don't know, for some reason, mine's died out. So I was like, I'm not gonna keep buying, spending $40 for a pH pen. I'll just go ahead and buy the $80 digital one, and it should be good.
For
But
sure.
yeah, the brand of a pH pen I have is an Eco Tester. There we go.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them. We used to sell a bunch of them at the grow shop. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're decent. They're waterproof, right?
yes, sir.
And so when you're checking pH and ppm, are you doing pre-feed, or are you doing runoff, or are you doing both?
Both. It's very important to do both. Because I've had pH issues in the past. I like to know what's going on in my soil as well. As well as when I'm supplementing, giving them the food before, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
And,
for sure.
and what using Pro Mix, what pH range do you like to stay in, and then throughout growing, what ppms do you try to keep your plants in?
pH wise, I like to stay 6.2 in Pro Mix. It's very comfortable. The plants do really well. Um, Literally, like if I keep it at 6.2, I don't have to worry about lockout issues. Now, I remember I had a really bad pH swing. The nutrients that you're using, whatever you're supplementing your plants, like Flora Nova. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that Flora Nova
It's like a
series.
thick organic,
Yeah,
well, semi-organic, whatever the hell you want to call it, from
that
GH.
that thing will cause some major like soil pH swings for sure. You have to make sure you flush your like if you're going to use that, you got to flush regularly, like literally, because you will get some major pH swings with that for sure.
Sounds like you lived it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm really glad you're sharing that information. I was actually thinking about trying out that line of nutrients, and it's good to hear that tips like that I think is helpful for people that currently use the nutrients or are looking to use the nutrients. So
Yeah, of course.
good to
I
hear
know a
that
lot of
one.
people that have had very good success with Florinova. It's not. It's. I think it's a very good nutrient because when I was using it, the plants, like when I immediately fed it, like especially to grow, it immediately gave. Like I love the fact that it's just a one bottle, base. No, you don't have to give it anything else. Literally, you can just feed it that, and your plant's getting everything it needs.
Have you ever just grown fully organically, or like the way that you're growing right now? Has this kind of been the way that you've always grown, or have you ever tried hydroponics or anything?
I want to try hydro. And yeah, the way that I've been growing right now, I'm comfortable with like the medium. Like I have cocoa. I bought cocoa a couple weeks ago because I want to start experimenting with cocoa because I think that would be the kind of it'll kind of be because you know how it's a soilless medium. You can run it in hydro and it can work very well with a hydro system.
For sure.
Since I'm so comfortable with soil, I think cocoa would be a really good transition into hydro, if you get what I'm saying. Um, because I'm so familiar with the soil base, it's kind of similar, just in a
Yeah,
hydro setup.
definitely. And it's you can overwater in cocoa. Like if you transplant a plant into cocoa core and then you don't let the roots establish themselves and then start hammering it with water, you definitely can overwater. But once
Mhm.
those roots are established in cocoa core, you can hook up a drip system. You can water. You can water the shit out of them, and the plants love it as long as you have good drainage.
Most definitely, good drainage is always key, really key.
What about your ventilation system? Do we talk about that yet? Like, what are you using for like an inline fan, ducting out of the
Ooh,
room? I don't remember
interesting.
if you said that. And then do you have like a lot of air circulation going on within
Oh
the?
yeah, I have a shit ton of air circulation. As far as with inline and out, I do not need as right now. I don't need it because the way everything is, like I said, my room, the flower room is an open closet. It's a huge room, and I shade it off with for the dark period, I shaded off with a plastic sheeting over the,
Some panda
over the
film.
door, yeah, over the doorway. So, and at the top there's a little I'm not gonna say a little section. It's a section where air it blows. I don't even need a ventilation system. It's pretty much what I'm getting at.
Do you have a lot of fans, like oscillating fans?
I have a whole ton of fans going on through this room. Like as I'm sitting here right now, I can feel the wind just.
Nice, that's awesome.
So what do you think your like biggest catastrophe was, or your biggest failure growing?
I would have to say my biggest fail with the grow would have to been that powdery mildew incident, but it didn't even collapse my grow too much because I mean I still ended up harvesting the plant. I just did it the Jose Cervantes way. You know how he washes the buds after harvest and everything with the peroxide bath and everything. I did it that way and it kind of just washed the mildew away. But
what does he do? Can you explain that? Because I have no idea what that is.
He washes he has a video on it too. To get rid of powdery mildew on your buds, he takes the bud, after harvest, he cuts it off and he has some water. He has a bath mixed up with some hydrogen peroxide. I think it's like 1 teaspoon per like 5 gallons of like hydrogen peroxide, and then
Right.
he just washes the buds and you can see the powdery mildew float all over the top of the water.
Have you seen this, Mr. Growit?
Yeah, I've seen it. You gotta watch it. It's definitely a controversial topic.
Yeah.
Some people are so against bud washing, but I mean, yeah, it's kind of scary seeing him submerge an entire branch all the way underwater.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. There's a shit ton of powdery mildew.
Yeah.
Hydrogen peroxide washed buds. I've never heard of that. That's
awesome.
Awesome.
If you really think about it, like super sanitizing your bud, but you just have to make sure you get all that excess water out because you don't want to have rot or anything. So how he did it was he had a fan. He had them hanging up after he washed them and bathed them and everything. He rinsed them down, and then he had them hanging on this little rack, and he just had the fan blowing on them just to make sure you got all that excess moisture out because, you don't want that in your bud and everything, pretty cool. I did that with mine, and it worked. I ended up having a pretty cool harvest,
Sure.
but I mean, is this something that, it's not nothing you want to, have in the back of your mind that you have powdery mildew on your bud, You have that fear of like smoking mildew,
Yeah, it's nasty. I'd rather wash that shit in some hydrogen peroxide. I didn't know you could. That's crazy, man. I gotta watch that video.
Dude, I've watched people cut down like crops because they don't want to deal with powdery mildew. It hurts.
For sure, yeah.
It hurts. Like, oh man.
Could have dunked that shit in a bucket of water and kept it.
But you got to think about the labor for that too, man. Wow. You got about 100 plants with PM. You got to dump all those. It's kind of like.
Yeah. I mean, when that much shit's on the line, you got to get creative.
You do, and that's a very creative way because you can literally see the powdery mildew like just off the bud floating on the water.
BabyJ, we want to ask you another question here. What's your biggest yield to date, and how much wattage were you using?
Oh man, I'm so proud of this, man. You guys, I had to say this is really my proudest moment because this is when you really found your niche.
Awesome.
In growing, when you get that satisfied feeling like yes, I finally got it. This is the one. So it's my season. If you guys go back, for anybody watching this podcast, it's my Spectrum King Mars Hydro combo. I think that's the name of the actual cycle that I named it. Oh my God, that's when I first got the setup, when I had just got the Spectrum King put in there, and I had my 600 watt, both 600 watts booming. I had like 880 something watts pumping in there. I had my Gorilla Smash from Canon Genetics. That's what
What's that?
For. It's Gorilla Glue crossed with, is it Lucky Charms or? I gotta get back to y'all on that, man.
Okay,
but,
I gotta
get back to y'all on that. But yeah, it's the name of the strain, but it's from Canon Genetics. That's who I genetics test for. Awesome strains, but oh my God, you guys, I yielded literally over a pound, 4 plants. General Hydro Flora series, and in my little
simple.
I'm trying to tell you guys, very simple nutrient schedule. All I had was the LED, both LEDs in there. 4 plants of the Gorilla Smash, over a pound. Wow. in my little grow area, you guys. Now, if you have to check it out, you have to watch it for you to really see.
I will.
Oh my
That's awesome.
Gosh, that was perfect. I didn't have any problems on that grow. Everything went as smooth as can be. I ran it 9 weeks straight, harvested at 9 weeks. Everything was just perfect flush, everything.
What's your like for drying your stuff? Do you use a dehumidifier or anything? Like what's your drying situation like?
So I dry in my actual room, and because I have the AC in here, it kind of keeps the room really cool. So my room
Gotcha.
is actually cooler than the actual flower room. So if it's
Gotcha.
82 in the room in the flower room, it's about 72. It's like 10 degrees. It's a difference for sure. Like literally, you can walk out the flower room and feel the difference. So with me having the lights off and everything, once I harvest, I like to give myself 2 weeks before I actually reset the flower room. So within that 2 weeks, I have everything drying, and it's like a 60. It's like a 69-ish, 69 degrees, about 52 degrees humidity. I mean 50% humidity, and I like to dry around there. And I keep it about 7 to 10 days, depending. I'll keep it longer if it's if I got some girthy
If
buds.
you had to dip them in water or anything.
Oh no, I haven't had to dip it in water
No,
since
I
then.
know. I'm just.
I haven't had any PM since that problem.
Yeah, that's good.
I made sure of that. I made sure of that. But yeah, I like to dry 60. I dry around 69 degrees, 52% humidity, 7 to 10 days. And depending on if I have some fat ass, but like some fat buds, I'll keep it a little longer just to make sure. But yeah, that's pretty much the Baby J drying method.
That's awesome. And are you still rolling the same wattage in your flower room as you were when
Oh
you got
yeah.
this yield?
Oh yes.
So
Oh
and
yes.
you just had a harvest, so you'll be able to maybe update us on or on your yield from this harvest. You think it's gonna be
Oh,
bigger or good too?
if anything, it's going to be about the same. Because I had two plants in there. It's actually the Pheno 2 of the same strain that I got a pound off of, but because of the Pheno, it's not as heavy yielding. So I'm not going to get as heavy yielding properties. That's one of the reasons why I didn't keep that Pheno. But I should pull pretty close too, because the Mayhem Bears, which is another strain from Canada Genetics, is the buds. Mr. Grow It. If you seen these buds are freaking huge, man.
Yeah, I've seen some of your recent videos, like I said, and it's really impressive. If you guys haven't seen Baby J's garden, you got to go over to her channel and check it out because she's really growing some really nice, healthy plants.
Thank you so much, man.
I think we got one more question for you, Mr. Grow It.
The loaded question.
Yeah, you usually ask this one.
I like
so
this
let's
one.
hear
I
it.
like this question. All right, so listen to this one. Knowing what you know now, if you can go back in time and talk to yourself right before you started your first grow, what advice would you give yourself?
Simple. Do not mix a gallon's worth of nutrients in a little mini bottle.
Yeah.
That is the worst mistake you could ever make, because it was like immediate. Like it was immediate damage. Like literally, the plant started wilting immediately when it got the feeding.
Wow.
Oh man, I wish that would have been on video.
Oh
A time
man,
lapse.
I admit, you guys, I kind of wish I didn't, because I'm one of those. I like to show my mistakes just so people know that I'm not. I I have mistakes still too. With
Oh,
growing,
for sure.
you're gonna run into mistakes all the time. So I like to document everything, and I really wish I was more comfortable back then to be able to document that, because it was funny. It was really funny. Every time I tell people about that, they just crack up.
Yeah, it would be sweet to watch like a time lapse video and fast forward of like the plant reacting to being overfed or underwatered or like stuff like that.
But yeah, I would say, mix my ratios. I need to get better with mixing my ratios for the nutrients. I would say I should have got my AC unit sooner, because I was running into heat issues with my CFLs, because like once it gets hot, and the humidity was high, and I started getting fungus gnats. I still get fungus gnats till this day, but I got a really bad fungus gnat infestation on my season 3. So I would say get my temperature and everything under control, have better air circulation, because if I would have had better air circulation in that flower room, I wouldn't have had as bad of a fungus gnat infestation as I did.
So, Baby J, what do you have anything like upcoming? Are you working on like any projects or anything? What's next
Oh
for
yeah,
you?
of course. I want everybody to stay tuned for the breeding project that I have going on right now. I'm harvesting a shit ton of pollen right now so I can get it started. I got my new round coming on. It's about to be in the flower room within the next week or so. So I want everybody to stay tuned for that. Really got some great content coming.
Nice. So, how does everybody find you through YouTube and social media and all that stuff?
You can find me on YouTube at the Grow 420 Diaries, and on Instagram, Grow 420 Diaries as well. Very, very active on both social media sites, and you can contact me through email as well if you want to be more personal.
All links to her channel and social media will be in the description section below.
Most definitely, man. I really appreciate you guys having me on the show today. I really, really enjoyed it. Really love talking about growing. I'm telling you, it's great to talk about growing with people that actually enjoy talking about growing. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. It's awesome. We love doing this podcast. We didn't know what it was going to be like going into it. We've recorded a few episodes so far, but we're still kind of figuring it out, and we're stoked. This episode was so full of good information, and it was awesome having you on. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Hope to be on another one.
Thanks a lot, Baby J. Have a good
All
one.
right.
Take care.